Hello, I'm Dr. Chan. Welcome to the course of how to publish in top journals. Here I would like to talk about the academic publishing cycle. When you submit a paper, the paper will go through peer review, then the editor will edit, prepare for production. Finally, the paper will be published. However, most of the time, only 30 to 60% of the paper will be published. Why? There are many reasons why the paper are not accepted. The reason can be outdated work, incorrect conclusion, and duplication of earlier published work. Hence, we have to ensure that our work, we have original result and significant enhancement of the published work. Besides that, we have to make sure that we have up-to-date review. So obviously, a strong manuscript should be having this criteria. For example, it must be clear, useful, and has exciting message, and presented and constructed in a logical manner. What article type that you can write for a journal? Normally, there are three types of articles that we can write. First is the full article. Second, letters or short communication. And the third is review papers. And how do you choose the journal? Normally, when you go to the website, you have to look for some relevant information to identify which journal is more suitable. This information are like aims and scope, types of articles, readership, subscription, speed of publication, how fast it can be published. Normally, you have to check as well. Peer review process, bibliometrics, and content innovation. Then we can use the website provided by Elsevier to look for the relevant journal. In Elsevier website, we have Elsevier for authors. At that website, we have the guide for authors as well. You can use that one to search for the relevant journals. You can use the search in the Elsevier for author to search for the journal. Then you can figure out how to write your journal article. When you want to start, you have to know about the structure. Normally, we can divide the structure into three. The first part, you have to write title, abstract, and keywords. In the second section, you have to write introduction, methods, result, and discussion. When come to the third section, you are going to write conclusion, acknowledgement, references, and maybe you have some supporting materials. How to write your title? First of all, you have to make sure that your title is concise. You are not using ambiguous words. And you have to use the professional language to write your title. Make sure that your title can convey very clear message to the writer. Then you go to write your keywords. And the keywords actually are the indexing information for the journal. It should be specific, and you should only use established abbreviation if necessary. After you have written the title and keywords, now you can start with your abstract. You have to keep it as brief as possible when you are writing your abstract. Summarize the problem, methods, result, and conclusion in your abstract. Make sure that it's clearly written and easy to understand. Make sure that it's accurate and specific while also being catchy. Now you have to write your introduction interestingly. In order to make it interesting, first you have to explain the problem, then followed by your approach. Then after that, you can mention what are the existing solutions that you have in that area and their limitation. After that, you can proceed to method. In the method section, normally we describe how the problem was studied, the research design, sampling technique, instrumentation, data collection, data analysis. We have to identify also the equipment and material used. And don't forget to present the controls that you use if you are doing experimental study. When it comes to the result, make sure that you only present the most important findings. Don't put too many tables. Use subheading to keep the result of same type together. Use figure and table for efficiency and clarity. A picture can tell 1,000 stories, and a table can make the interpretation of statistical analysis clear. So when we are presenting the figures and tables, make sure that it is clear, it's self-explanatory. Maximize your visual effect. Use color only when necessary. And the graph should not be too crowded when you are putting into your journal article. Sometimes we do not need a table, but sometimes a table is needed. You have too much of information listed. Then a table can help you to interpret the data in a systematic way. Don't forget about your discussion. When you are doing your discussion, you have to interpret the result accordingly. Please relate to the previous study, past research, or relevant literature. You have to make sure that you have explained the most important findings of your study. Make the discussion correspond to the result and complement them. Then you can compare with the past study and so on to see whether your study is similar or different from the earlier study. After that, the final part is the conclusion. Don't repeat the result or the abstract again in conclusion. Here, what you need to do is to discuss the uses, implication, recommendation, application, or whatever that have been suggested in your paper. You can suggest future study. Be clear here to help the reviewer and editor to judge your work and its impact so that they can see the value of your paper, and that will impress the editor to accept your paper for publication. Finally, okay, don't forget about the acknowledgement. You have to acknowledge those who have helped you. For example, your supervisor or the financial supporter. Don't forget about the proofreader as well. Acknowledge them accordingly. That will give credit to them and to you as well. And don't forget about the references. Whatever cited must be listed. Make sure that you do not have too many references. Always ensure that you have fully adopted the material when you are referencing and conform to the requirement of the writing style. Normally, when we are writing articles for social sciences, we are referring to the APA writing style, American Psychological Association writing style. It's one of the very good reference guide for the writers. Okay, finally, we have to check whether your paper have all the components or not. Make sure that, okay, your paper consists of all these relevant components. For example, title, abstract, keywords, introduction, methods, result, discussion, and conclusion. And if you have some tables that have not been embedded in the text, you can put it into the appendix. And for a journal article to be submitted to a journal, you need to have the cover letter as well. The cover letter actually is very important to show that you have gotten the approval from other writers, and you can explain the importance of your study through the editors. You can explain some main findings to make it impressive to the writer, to the editor, that your paper actually were to be accepted for publication. Besides that, okay, some journal also will ask the writer to submit conflict of interest. You have to show that your paper has no conflict of interest in terms of financial aspect, career or intellectual aspect or institutional aspect to avoid any biasness in terms of selection of the article. And okay, as a writer for the journal article, we have to understand that all the papers submitted for journal publication will go through peer review. And the peer review actually is very important process to help determine the quality, validity, significance, and originality of the research. It can help to enhance the quality of papers. So we have to look into this peer review process very seriously. We have to also respond to the comment positively. When the reviewer have given the comments, we have to answer in a very uh, respectful manner way. And normally the reviewer will look for originality, importance of hypothesis, and clear progression in the paper. The reviewer also will appreciate well presented paper. So when the comment given by the reviewer, we have to look at it positively and answer it in a positive way. Don't try to answer in a very rude and no manners way if we are not happy with the comment. And other than that, we also have to look into the issue of authorship. Normally, a paper, sometimes we will have more than one writer. So we have to identify who is the first author. Are we having co-authors in the paper? And beside that, we also have to identify whether are we having any corresponding author or not. Corresponding author is the person who is responsible for sending the paper to the journal and communicating with the editor. So the person may not be the first author. So we have to make it very clear in our paper who is the first author and who are the co-authors, and in the paper also who is the corresponding author, so that there is no dispute after the paper has been published. Then finally, okay, uh, the last but not least is the plagiarism issue. We have to make sure that our paper does not have plagiarism issue. Plagiarism is the appropriation of another person's ideas, processes, result, or words without giving appropriate credit. So when we are quoting or citing other people's work, we have to make sure that we have acknowledged them accordingly and listed the relevant information in the list of the references. The plagiarism actually can be in many aspects. We have to understand that there are many things can be plagiarized. For example, sometimes people will copy words, ideas, diagram, figures, computer program, or lecture from someone without acknowledging the relevant person. So that is considered unethical. So when we are writing a paper, make sure that we do not do so. We cannot copy word for word. We also not allowed if we are not paraphrasing the sentences that we copy from the other sources. And we are also not allowed to do text recycling. That is ethical. Make sure that okay, we do our self-check, cross-check, or maybe using Turnitin to check if we want to avoid plagiarism. In fact, plagiarism is easily detected and also can be avoided if we are aware of it and use some software to identify. If we have exceeded 30%, make sure that we are going to reduce it to lower than the rate. Besides that, okay, we have to also maybe use some social media to promote our publication. You can publish your paper in your relevant personal website. You can also put into some databases, for example, SciDirect, Scopus, and so on. This will help you to promote your work to others. Thank you. For the relevant information, you can refer to the relevant links provided in the last slide. Thank you very much.